Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Game on Cloud 9 here, and I'm here to bring you guys a new Naruto manga 596 prediction. And man, this week's Naruto chapter was just straight up action-packed. I mean, if you are a person who loves your action just like I do, then this definitely couldn't have been the chapter that disappointed you. I mean, seriously, we had Toby going ahead, swinging his fan around, slicing through rocks. We had Naruto creating like a mini Biju Dama, which I thought was actually pretty cool, considering the fact that before, when he was trying to create the Biju Dama, when he was in his nine-tailed chakra mode, he was never able to do it. But seeing as how now him and Kurama are friends and they have this link together, it shows that now he can actually create it, even without actually being in his Biju mode, as we all know, like the Biju mode where his cloak opens up and all that kind of craziness. So I do like the fact that he can use the Biju Dama even in the nine-tailed chakra mode. Also seeing Guy taking out some new nunchucks basically and going nuts with those, and I like the design of those nunchucks, and seeing a little taijutsu used in the fight. One thing though, I really want Guy, I know that now you may not want Guy to die, but I really would like to see him use the 8th gate just to see what it does. So I mean, hopefully, or at least to me, I'm hoping that he actually does use the 8th gate at some point in this fight, just to see them take it up another notch. But I'm pretty sure we may get that eventually, maybe if the 10 Tails fully awakens, he'll use the 8th gate. But we also got Kakashi using Kamui, which also shows growth on Kakashi's side, because I think Kakashi's been ready to basically use Kamui at least a couple times in this fight, this whole war at least. And the reason why I think that's actually pretty cool is because Kakashi had, if you look at the beginning of part 2, like Kakashi could barely use Kamui. Even if you look at part 1, Kakashi's chakra reserves were so low, it seemed like. I mean, every time he would use Lightning Blade, he'd be getting ready to fall out. But we've seen him use Lightning Blade multiple times in this war. We've even seen him use Kamui. So, I mean, definitely it shows that Kakashi's chakra reserves have grown and he's gotten a bit stronger, which is always good in my opinion. Also, probably one of the major factors in this week's chapter, it's something to kind of, pay attention to, I guess, is that Toby's mask cracked. I mean, we all know for the most part, I mean, this probably is, like I said before, going to be the end of Toby, as far as that this is probably his last stand or his last fight. Even if he somehow makes it out of this fight, he's not going to be probably in another fight. He's probably going to be, dying or, die off somewhere else. I mean, if he does make it out. But, yeah, his mask is cracking a little bit, which is showing that they are tiring him out. He's, getting wore down a little bit, and that I guess, all the consistent attacks they're making on him, that they are, like, I guess, managing to kind of graze him or at least nick him a little bit. Seeing as how Naruto threw that chakra punch at Toby, and it did nick him a little bit. So, definitely maybe in the next couple chapters we'll see the mask crack or something, and, of course, that's when, we're going to probably get the Naruto fan base probably torn in two. Like, seriously. Probably half the people are going to be happy, half of them are going to be pissed, because, and I actually, I was watching Cove about this video, and, one thing that I think he made a good point on this week is that, the hype of the whole Toby, like, theory, like, who he is, has been so high that, I mean, pretty much somebody's going to be disappointed. I mean, there are going to be a lot of people who are disappointed either way. I mean, it doesn't have to be Obito. It could be Shisui, it could be Kagami, shit, it could be Sasuke. And, like, there is going to be disappointment. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to be disappointed personally, but I know some of you may be, or, even if it's none of, like, my subs, like, you guys are really disappointed, I know there probably will be some people who are disappointed, which is fine, but, I'm just hoping this doesn't, get, crazy where we just have bashing every week and people aren't really thinking about the chapter itself. But I'm kind of off topic now. But, anyway, I want to go ahead and basically talk a little bit about Toby as far as, the whole Toby theory, because I have a couple comments here from, the last week's video. Now I know I said I was going to, try to see if I can get comments from you guys that, had to do what you think maybe is going to happen in the next chapter. Now, I didn't really see too many of those, but I did see a couple comments, and I even got a response video from Kiba Sene, basically talking about the whole Toby and Obito thing. And one thing that he was saying was that Obito being Toby, basically just summarizing, will be a bit obvious because it's been around the internet for a while. Which, I could actually see, and I can actually somewhat agree with that. I mean, on one hand, it would be a bit obvious since it was one of the first theories that, people came up with and talked about. But on the other hand, I mean, you know, there are a lot of other things to lead us to think that you know, it's not Obito. So I mean, at the same time, I can agree with you. At the same time, you know, I have to say, like, you know, I don't know if it's completely obvious. Not only that, but I want to say, like, Kishimoto, I don't know necessarily if he, like, actually keeps up with forum sites or looks at forum sites or anything like that. I mean, especially since he lives in Japan, I'm not too sure what the Japanese theories are or anything like that. But as far as, like, you know, other theories that, you know, people put on English-speaking sites, you know, I'm not necessarily sure if he checks those to see what people are thinking. So, I mean, if it does happen to be Obito, I don't think it'll be, you know, because I don't think he's going to do it just to make it obvious to us. I think it'll be because that's just who he planned it to be. But, you know, yeah, it would be probably a little bit obvious. You know, Ali Lares, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your YouTube name right, but it's the like one thing that he was basically trying to say is that, you know, Toby being Obito would be a bit weird since Kakashi, you know, was still a kid around the whole Nine-Tailed Fox attack when the 4th Hokage fought against Toby. You know, and I have to also kind of agree with that as well, because if you look at the height of Toby, you know, he kind of seemed, you know, even the knowledge that he had, he seemed to be a lot older than, you know, like a teenager. Kakashi looked like maybe he was like 15 or 16 when we seen him in that flashback, versus if you look at Toby, you know, his height, he looked like he had grown like a lot taller, like dramatically. You know, his knowledge seemed a lot more vast, he seemed a lot more careful, you know, and not only that, but I mean, he seemed a lot stronger. So it didn't even come off as Obito. I mean, the only thing, in my opinion, that I kind of feel as though, you know, even kind of can make you think, oh, maybe, you know, like, as far as technique-wise, it could be Obito, is the whole time-space ninjutsu that we all know Toby to use, where he warps himself, like, somewhere else. Because it's kind of similar to Kamui, where he, like, Kakashi can warp an item to somewhere else. You know, and that also kind of makes me think about this week's chapter, when we see the Geto Mazo basically, like, going nuts, and Kakashi trying to use Kamui, and somehow it ended up canceling out. Now, some, you know, may say that it could be like the Ten Tails actually just like uber powerful, or maybe it's, you know, it was able to somehow resist the technique, or, you know, something along those lines. You know, and then some may say actually that Toby stopped it himself by using Kamui to cancel out, or something of that sort. You know, which, you know, it could be either. I mean, that actually got me a little bit more excited. Okay, is this actually Obito, because he did cancel the technique out? Now, one thing that leads me to feel like it's not Obito sometimes is the fact, like, you think about certain comments or certain things that he knows, again, that, you know, I just don't see how Obito could have knew it. Like, I think about, like, one remark that Toby made to Kushina while ripping the Nine Tails out of it. Basically he told her, like, you know how long I've waited for this moment. That implied it had been a while. If it had only been a few years while all this is going on, to say that it had been, you know, like, how long I've waited for this moment sounds a lot longer, like he had been waiting, like, you know, decades or something crazy, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's why I'm kind of torn 50-50 as far as, like, last week I said, oh, I think I'm 70% sure that Obito is Toby, but now, after looking at some past chapters, different remarks that things have been said, the whole beginnings of the Katsuki and, you know, the whole Nagato stuff, I kind of feel as though, you know, like there's a 50-50 chance. Maybe it's Obito, but then same time, I don't really see it being Obito. And maybe Kishimoto's intentionally trying to mislead us, you know, and maybe it's someone else entirely different. I mean, it could be Kagami, it could be Shisui, you know, or Mike. And, you know, even with those guys, it's still a little weird, but I'm like I've always said, like I said in my last prediction, basically what I'm more concerned about, other than the like who it is basically the explanation behind it. I mean, it can be Kagami, it can be Shisui, it can even be Obito. I'm just worried about, okay, what's the explanation of why this person did this? You know, what have they been doing all this time? You know, the connection to Madara, all that business. Which actually kind of leads to the next comment, the last comment I'm going to read from one of my other subscribers last week, which is King Griff. And basically what he was saying was that he thinks that Toby, you know, is Madara, and that, you know, that he said it himself to Kabuto that he gave Nagato the Rinnegan. Now, I don't remember him saying that to Nagato exactly. Or not Nagato, but to Kabuto exactly, that he gave Nagato the Rinnegan. I do remember him saying that to Conan, though. You know, and I'm like, that also could be a possibility. You know, and, you know, actually it's very likely because we all know how the Zetsu clones work, how they can clone chakra and all that. None of us really know how old Zetsu is, how long Zetsu's been around. You know, Zetsu doesn't necessarily seem like just a normal human. He seems, you know, like some kind of, well, he is a clone, kind of the first Hokage. So definitely he is a big possibility. Not only that, but, you know, we don't know if Madara maybe created Zetsu. You know, you have the whole first Hokage thing. So, you know, if, you know, I'm like, you know, not only that, but you even think about as far as like how Toby's referred himself as being a pathetic shell of his former self, you know, and if somehow he did gain, like if Madara gave his chakra to Zetsu and maybe he even gained some of his memories or something like that, you know, it would make, you know, a lot of sense, you know, why he's been around all this time, what he's been doing, and he's been plotting, you know, and why he expected Toby to continue his work. So, you know, I could accept that probably, you know, as well as some kind of explanation as far as, you know, him being Zetsu and trying to continue Madara's work that way. But those are pretty much, you know, my thoughts as far as, well, of course, the chapter and Toby goes. As for what I think is going to happen next week, probably more action. Maybe the Konoha 11 will probably get a glimpse of them next week, just so we'll get a little something fresh. That's what my guess. And one thing I want to add, I did enjoy the color page this week. The color page didn't really disappoint me too much. I mean, because, you know, it wasn't just like I said before, somebody sitting in a field eating pie or something like that. I mean, even though it just showed Naruto and Toby, I felt like, you know, it looked pretty nice. So, you know, I didn't have too many problems with the color spread. You know, and I am looking forward to the next chapter to see some more action and maybe get a glimpse of the Konoha 11. Don't think we'll get Sasuke maybe for a little bit, probably after this fight or the end of this fight. But, you know, again, yeah, I enjoyed this week's chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So please don't forget to rate this video. So if you liked it, thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you can put a thumbs down. Also, don't forget to comment down below with your predictions so I can go ahead and, you know, pick 3 of them for next week to go ahead. And, you know, like if they were close to the chapter, I'll go ahead and read them off. Or even if they were just interesting predictions of maybe how the series is going to turn later on, you know, I can read them off. You know, and also don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the content on my channel and you aren't subscribed and you would like to see more. Anyway, thank you for watching and I'll see you later.